A winner decides long before the world notices, long before applause, long before results, long before anyone believes. The decision is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it is not dependent on circumstances. It happens quietly, internally, the moment a person chooses who they are going to be regardless of what life presents. Most people allow circumstances to decide for them. They wait for confidence to appear, for motivation to arrive, for permission from the outside world. A winner does the opposite. A winner decides first, and then aligns every thought, action, and habit with that decision. The moment a person decides, something powerful shifts. They stop asking, "Can I?" and start asking, "How do I?" Doubt may still exist, fear may still speak, but neither is allowed to vote. The decision becomes law. When circumstances try to negotiate, the answer is already set. When conditions are uncomfortable, the decision remains unchanged. This is where separation begins. Not in talent, not in resources, not in luck, but in decision. Most people confuse decision with desire. Desire says, "I want this if it's easy, if it works quickly, if I feel good today." Decision says, "This is who I am now." A winner does not decide to try. They decide to commit. And commitment does not wait for ideal conditions. It creates them. When the mind is undecided, energy scatters. When the mind is decided, energy concentrates. Focus sharpens. Discipline becomes natural. Action becomes consistent. Circumstances are temporary, but identity is powerful. When someone decides internally that they are disciplined, focused, and relentless, their behavior begins to follow that image. They wake up differently. They train differently. They think differently, not because someone is watching, but because they are aligned with who they decided to be. A winner does not ask if today feels right. They act because their identity demands it. Life will test that decision. Fatigue will appear. Doubt will whisper. Results may delay. This is where most people retreat. They let circumstances rewrite their commitment. A winner understands that circumstances are neutral. They have no authority unless given permission. Pain does not cancel the decision. Failure does not invalidate it. Delay does not weaken it. These are simply conditions to move through, signals to stop. The power of deciding early is that it removes emotional negotiation. When a person has not decided, every challenge becomes a debate. Should I continue? Should I rest? Should I quit? When a person has decided, those questions disappear. The only question left is, what must I do next? This is mental freedom. This is strength. This is how consistency is born. A winner decides long before the world notices, long before applause, long before results, long before anyone believes. The decision is not loud, it is not dramatic, and it is not dependent on circumstances. It happens quietly, internally. The moment a person chooses who they are going to be regardless of what life presents. Most people allow circumstances to decide for them. They wait for confidence to appear, for motivation to arrive, for permission from the outside world. A winner does the opposite. A winner decides first, and then aligns every thought, action, and habit with that decision. A winner also understands that confidence is not a prerequisite. It is a result. Confidence does not come before action. It comes from keeping promises to oneself. Each time a person honors their decision, self-trust grows. Each disciplined action reinforces the belief, "I am who I said I am." Over time, this compounds into unshakable certainty. Deciding before circumstances decide also means refusing to let the past define the future. Mistakes, losses, and limitations belong to old versions. A winner does not wait for evidence to change before changing internally. They change internally first, and evidence eventually follows. This is not blind hope. It is deliberate creation. When pressure rises, the undecided look for exits. The decided look for solutions. When obstacles appear, the undecided complain. The decided adapt. The difference is not intelligence or strength. It is commitment to an identity that does not fluctuate with conditions. A winner's decision is not made once. It is reaffirmed daily. Every morning, the mind is reminded of the standard. Every action either aligns or conflicts with that decision. And over time, alignment becomes automatic. Discipline becomes effortless. Excellence becomes normal. The world responds to those who are clear. Opportunities align with certainty. People trust those who trust themselves. But none of this happens until the internal decision is made. Before results, before validation, before comfort, the winner decides first, and everything else is forced to follow. Excuses are not created by circumstances. They are created by habits of thought. They appear the moment responsibility feels uncomfortable. Most people believe excuses protect them from failure, embarrassment, or judgment. But in reality, excuses protect limitation. A winner understands this early and eliminates excuses at the mental level, not the behavioral level. It is not about forcing discipline for a few days, but about adopting a rule of mind that says ownership is non-negotiable. The no excuses principle is not emotional. It is logical. When a person makes excuses, they give away power. Power always belongs to the one who takes responsibility. The moment responsibility is accepted, control returns. Winners do not waste energy explaining why something could not be done. They conserve energy for finding how it can be done. This shift alone separates leaders from followers, champions from spectators. Excuses often sound reasonable. Lack of time, lack of support, lack of confidence, lack of resources. These explanations feel valid, but they quietly train the mind to expect limitations. The subconscious does not evaluate truth. It accepts repetition. Each repeated excuse becomes a belief. Each belief becomes behavior. Winners understand this chain and cut it at the source. A no excuses mindset means refusing to negotiate with weakness. Fatigue will speak. Doubt will speak. Fear will speak. These voices are natural, but they are not decision makers. A winner listens without obeying. They understand that feelings are temporary signals, not commands. Action is guided by commitment, not comfort. Ownership is the foundation of this mindset. Winners take responsibility even when the situation is unfair, not because they are at fault, but because responsibility gives them control. Blame gives relief, but removes power. Excuses give comfort, but steal progress. A winner chooses progress every time. This mental law applies in training, preparation, and performance. If a result is poor, the winner does not look outward. They ask what can be refined, improved, or strengthened. This creates continuous growth. The mind becomes solution-oriented instead of problem-oriented. Over time, this becomes automatic. No excuses thinking also builds trust with oneself. Every time a person keeps a promise despite discomfort, self-respect increases. Confidence grows quietly, not the loud confidence that seeks validation, but the deep confidence that comes from reliability. Winners trust themselves because they have evidence of follow-through. Pressure exposes whether excuses are habits or history. In critical moments, the mind defaults to its conditioning. If excuses were allowed during preparation, they will appear under pressure. If ownership was practiced daily, it will show naturally. Winners train responsibility the same way they train skill, through repetition.